Hello everyone, and welcome to my session from platform events to the PubSub API. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I hope you continue enjoying the day. My name is Pedro Molina. I'm working as a Salesforce developer for Designit, a company based on Bristol. However, I'm not based in the UK. I'm based in the south of Spain in a city called Granada. A wonderful city. Please come to visit us. As I said, I've been a Salesforce developer for the last 6 years, something like this. Well, I'm also a person really involved with the Trailblaze community. I I am co-organizer of the Trimole, the Salesforce Spanish Community Conference that, by the way, this year is going to take place in Seville. I'm also co-organizer of the Granada Developers Group, the city where I live, and I have been a Salesforce MVP for 3 years in the past. In case you want to contact me, please take note of my Twitter handler that is in the screen, or my personal email. So in case you have any question or doubts regarding the session, the content I'm gonna try to explain you today, just PM me or email me, and I will be so pleased to answer any doubt. But let me remove my image from the screen because I don't want to hide any slide. So okay, let's continue. Well, I know this is a lot of text. Please do not try to read it. Do not stress yourself by trying to reading it. What this slide basically says is that you shouldn't be making any purchasing decision based on the content of this presentation. But well, first of all, I would like to explain the title of this session. It is important to say that platform events and the PubSub API are not the same thing, okay? The PubSub API is not a new feature that is going to replace platform events. This title is because of a journey I started on 2018. That year, I gave a session at Dreamforce. In that session, I explained what is platform events, how this thing works, and I also showed a demo of an application working with platform events. I basically built a Twitter integration where the audience could vote on a live poll for their favorite version of the pizza, with or without pineapple. So today I'm going to go through the differences between the old implementation and the new one using the PubSub API, focusing on the enhancements that Salesforce has introduced since then. Of course, you will also be able to vote for your favorite version of the pizza. Please pay attention to these hashtags at the bottom on the screen, because after this session I will run a demo, and I'm gonna run the demo. I'm gonna show you. I will post the poll results on my Twitter account. So grab your favorite hashtag and please start tweeting in case you have a Twitter account. So we will discover what is the best version of the pizza, with or without pineapple. So let's start having a look at today's agenda. I'll start talking about the Salesforce Event Bus and the changes introduced recently. Then I'll continue introducing the new PubSub API that, by the way, is already generally available. Then I'll have a look at the differences between the old implementation, the implementation I did on 2018, and the current implementation. And at the end, I'll run a quick demo I'm going to show you an org where this demo has been deployed. I'll show you also the resources have been used, and after the demo I'll share on my Twitter the results of the poll we talked before. So let's start with what's new in the Salesforce architecture about the Salesforce Event Bus. What do we have so far? For a number of years within the Salesforce platform, we've been creating dynamics and flexible solutions thanks to publish and subscribe pattern and event-driven architectures. The Salesforce feature that enables us to build this kind of solution is the Salesforce Event Bus, which is a multi-tenant eventing service built on Apache Kafka. We are all familiar with products like Quip, Instant Prediction Builder, and Real-Time Event Monitoring. All of those products have their own tech stack and they integrate with Salesforce by means of the streaming API used by platform events and change data capture. As we can see in this diagram, the diagram right on the right side of the screen, up until now, the Salesforce Event Bus has been sharing the infrastructure as products like Sales Cloud and Service Cloud, while powering PubSub at the same time, meaning that it's been using shared resources within the general Salesforce tech stack. But now things have changed, and Salesforce has introduced a new and independent runtime for the Salesforce Event Bus. This new Event Bus service is internal to Salesforce, but it sits outside of the server that powers the Sales Cloud and the Service Cloud, providing a lot more flexibility than before. That means that no more shared resources. As we can see in this diagram, the Salesforce Event Bus has its own stack, and at the moment there is a transition time, where both approaches are being used in parallel. The traffic is gradually being routed to the new runtime, and it will eventually be all migrated from the shared resources cloud. But don't panic, because there's a backup. I know what you all are thinking. There's a backup plan, and if there is ever an issue, our connections and our data will be safe. Okay, let's now introduce what the new PubSub API is about. The PubSub API is a gRPC-based API. gRPC stands for Google Remote Procedure Call, an open source Google standard created for microservice architectures that brings a lot of improvements over the REST or the SOAP API. We're gonna see some of those improvements in the next slide. A high point for this new PubSub API is that you can do everything in one place, as you can see in this table. Well, before PubSub, we had to use a combination of the REST, SOAP, Bulk, and the streaming API. Now we just need one API to rule them all. Sorry for this Lord of the Ring joke. What I mean is that all those actions can be performed using the same interface. And like we just explained before, the new PubSub API runs in a new and dedicated infrastructure, meaning that it doesn't consume shared resources. And this is honestly really important. Okay, Now I'll highlight few of the most important features that gRPC brings to the PubSub API. Excuse me. A better performance. gRPC uses Apache Avro as data serialization system, and this provides the PubSub API with binary data encoding and schema. This means that the serialized data use better compression and allows for faster transactions. Bidirectional streaming. In this new standard, the client and the server each have their own independent stream, meaning that both the client and the server can read and write at any time they need to. With the old implementation, both ends needed to be synchronized and are waiting for the other end to finish sending their message before responding. Alright, another way to visualize this feature could be, for example, imagine two cities connected by just one road, and this road can be driven just in one direction at the same time. Well, this would be the old standard. Okay, so both cities would need to wait for the other end to stop or to finish sending cars, the people, the messages in this case, to the other city. With the new standard, it's not like that. Imagine again these two cities connected with two roads, and each road can send and receive people, cars, or in this case again messages. Okay, so let's continue. The pull subscription and flow control. The new API allows for the client to proactively request events to the server, different to the old implementation where the client was constantly listening for the events being published by the server. And not only that, the client can also request a concrete number of events to process. This is what flow control means, and it provides a mechanism to ensure that the client does not get overwhelmed by a spike in event publishing. The client requests the number of events it can process, and it will then request the next batch, and they'll be received in the right order. And I'm gonna stop here again because this is a really important concept. It deserves to be explained by a second time. Again, I'm gonna try to give you a visual example or give you a better description. What the pulse subscription and flow control allow us to do is something we couldn't do before. Okay, the listener we had before with the platform events, for example, with the old implementation we had in any integration with Salesforce, allows us to create listeners that were just listening. They are kind of passive listeners. Okay, we cannot do much rather than just wait for events. But now our listener will go to the stream and say, hey, could you give me, I don't know, 10 messages, 100 messages? Then I'm gonna process those messages, and if I have set up in my logic that the maximum number of messages to process is 100, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna disconnect from the stream. Of course, we can build logics that after processing this maximum number of messages we have defined, I can reconnect again to the stream and ask for more messages if there are. If not, I will be waiting for my logic to run again. Okay, I hope this example clarifies a little bit better this feature, because it's again a huge improvement over what we had before in Salesforce. And lastly, it's built on HTTP2, Compared to APIs built on HTTP1, the new standard guarantees a better performance, better security, and lower overheat. Okay, let's go where our dev subs to check a few of the differences between our old implementation and the new one. Before getting into more details of the code we have used, let's have a look at the scenario that we are dealing with here. On one side, on the left side, pardon, on the left side, we had a Salesforce application that uses platform events and change data capture. And on the other side, we have a third-party application that uses publish and subscribe patterns. And we had implemented this scenario in two different ways. The one with the application on 2018 that is not using this new feature, the PubSub API, and the one I have created this year that is, of course, using the PubSub API. So let's have a look at that in detail. Okay, this is the old implementation. Before the PubSub API, all the streaming APIs, the one used by platform events and change data capture, relied on the Gómez protocol. So the third-party Java application that we built had to use Gómez, which is something that is not actively developed anymore. Apart from that, the different publish and subscribe action had to make use of different APIs, as we saw in the comparison chart earlier. So from this diagram, what I want you to keep in your mind is that before, on 2018, we needed to implement this Gómez protocol, or to make use of an open source implementation, for example. That was much easier, and to be honest, this is what I did on 2018, because implement your own Gómez could be really tricky, and you can fall into troubles like security issues. The second thing I want to bear in mind is that before, and as we have already described, we need to use a combination of the REDs or the bulk API to publish and subscribe events properly. Okay, here what we have is a couple of snippets of code I have extracted from the old implementation, okay? The application created in 2018. And well, this QR code will drive you to where the code is stored. And so in case you want to have a deeper look at how things were done before, you can compare the old implementation with the old new implementation. You can do it by following this QR code and another QR code I'm going to give you to the new implementation. Okay. Something else I want to highlight here is that this is code we needed in the third-party application, not in Salesforce. Okay, platform events are native to Salesforce, and so for publishing platform events or change data capture to publishing events, all we need to do is to create the event itself, or to allow the object to publish, to follow the change data capture. Okay, this code again is for the third-party implementation application. Sorry. So when it comes to subscribing, the old implementation, what we can see in these two snippets of code is that we need to make use of few libraries. The most important here is the EMP library. We use that library that facilitates the Gómez parameters needed. We are logging into Salesforce by using the Gómez connector, and we are then subscribing our third-party application to the platform event topic defined in Salesforce. Alright, now with the new PubSub API, we can take advantage of the new gRPC protocol in order to connect the streaming API. And not only that, we can use it to publish event and also to subscribe to event, all in one library. So this will be the overview of the application we have created now. Okay, this is a couple of pieces of code I have extracted from the old implementation. Remember, this is what we need to publish and subscribe from the third-party implementation. From Salesforce, we don't have to do anything. Just create our platform events or allow the object to use change data capture, and Salesforce will be publishing automatically. Okay, we don't have to do anything else. Any code is what I mean. For subscribing to Salesforce, well, we can do it in several different ways. So going into a bit of detail, or a bit more of detail, with the new PubSub API, we needed to initialize the PubSub client, which is an instance of the PubSub service library. And for that, we need three things: the proto file, which is a config file that describes the different operation that gRPC client supports. Then we need the endpoint, which is our Salesforce org in this case. And finally, the authentication token that we receive when we log into Salesforce. We're gonna see this in more detail later on, before the demo, as I'm gonna show you the code, the real code. But again, this QR code will drive you to the new repo I have created. So take a picture, take a screenshot, whatever. If you want to compare, to have a look, or to dig into the code, you can do it easily by making use of this QR code. So when we have these things implemented in our client, we used to get the schema of our two channels. In our example, we'll be making use of a change data capture that we are going to be subscribed to, and the other schema will be for a platform event that is what we are going to use to publish events into the Salesforce org. And finally, we are subscribing to the change data capture. After we are subscribed to the change data capture topic, what we need to do is to get the right schema, or to use the right schema to understand the message we are receiving from Salesforce. Before, we had to use, as we said, a different combination of libraries. Now, again, we can do it all with the PubSub API. Okay, with the PubSub API, we are not only getting the change data capture itself, but also the description or the schema. I'll go into the detail later on at the code, and I believe you're gonna see much easier in there. And well, with the snippet of code I'm showing in second place here, what I want to show you is that, or the call we are using to specify the topic, specify the schema, and this number is the number of events I mentioned before we are going to request to the stream. Okay, in this case just 10. So we're gonna go to the, well, as far as we, or as soon as we run this method, our third-party application is gonna go into the stream and ask for 10 events. If there are just 3, it will take 3 and will keep asking for more events. If there are 10, it will take 10 and then it will disconnect. And if there are 20, 30, whatever, it will take just 10 and then will disconnect from the stream. In case we wanted or we needed to our method to connect again to the stream, we will have to create a runtime for doing that. But this is something I have not created in this POC. Okay, demo time. Well, before the demo, I'm gonna be showing you the code and digging a little bit more on that code, as I want you to fully understand how this thing work. Also, I want to mention that I haven't created this code from scratch. I have based my POC in a repo created by Philip Osil, a Salesforce advocate and a really good programmer. So in case you want to have a look at a more pure repo, you can follow him on Git and you will find his repo there. Also, he has uploaded a couple of videos explaining how this thing works. And well, I will be setting also a QR code that will drive you to the videos and to some more resources. But going back to our demo, the hashtags for Twitter. If you want to participate in this poll, if you prefer the pizza with pineapple or with no pineapple, please go into your Twitter account. Well, make use of these hashtags. At the end of the session, I'm gonna run again the code, the application. Well, I will publish in Twitter who won a few screenshots um, from your tweets. I hope you will like it. So let's go for the code. Okay, so let's go first to show you the configuration created in Salesforce. What I have built is Salesforce application to hold the objects I need to show you. This time, what I have created is a custom object called pizza poll. This custom object has been enabled in change data capture. So anytime you create, delete, modify one of these records, an event is gonna be fired from Salesforce to any listener you have created. If we have a look at the object itself, there is actually not much to say. The most important thing here is this status. We're gonna change to well, yes, it's the indirect status, because as soon as we modify this status to poll closed, our listener is gonna pick this event and it's gonna go to Twitter and look for a concrete hashtags. We're gonna see that in detail later on. Well, continuing with our object. As I said before, there's not much to say. We have a number of fields here, and the point is we have created a child object that is this other here, the pizza boats. Later on, we will see that our pizza poll, the only one, let's show that is the only one we have, okay? It has no child records. Okay? The trigger we have created to listen to this platform event, the platform event we have also created for this demo, will be the one in charge of pushing this information, the information in Twitter, from Twitter into this org. Okay, this is gonna be the path. So in summary, we have two different objects, a change data capture, a platform event, and finally we have a trigger. Okay, this trigger will be the one inserting or creating the necessary records for the votation. What about our server? Well, Well, first of all, I want to say that I haven't created this code from scratch. This code has been pulled from a Philip Osil repo. I just have modified and add some things, like for example the Twitter library. This library will be using the Twitter API to look for a certain hashtag and so retrieve this information into our application. Things to highlight from here. Well, first of all is that we need a .env file to create or to tell to this application the user, the password, and the security tokens we will need to log into our Salesforce org and also into Twitter. I'm not gonna show you the content, but if you go to the Git repo, it's in Bitbucket, the Bitbucket repo I showed you before in that QR code, you will have a README file to follow the necessary tasks, the necessary steps to create this with the right fields. So let's continue. What else we can find in this here beside the Twitter library? Well, we have a service that is the PubSub service. This one it's defined here. And if you pull this Git repo or the Philip of Sale repo, you notice that you don't need anything else to do. Of course, you can create your own, but this is already created for you and ready to be used. So I'm not gonna stop in analyzing this file. Sorry. Two important things. These two constant. The one that is gonna hold the change data capture we have created, and the one that is gonna hold the platform event we will be using to post information from Twitter into our org. This is what we are using for logging into Twitter, and here this is the client we will be using to log into our Salesforce org. So continuing, we are instantiating the PubSub service, and using this instance of this file here, we are retrieving the schemas for the platform event and the schema for the change data capture. And if we continue, we're gonna see that we are subscribed to our change data capture, that we are using the schema for the change data capture as well, and that we are listening to a maximum of 10 events. Not listening, as we explained before, we are gonna go to the stream and so ask for 10 events. Once we receive that, we wanna check that the type of the change data capture is gonna be updated. So if we create a record type of pizza poll, this will do nothing. We need to be updating. Of course, you can implement whatever you need in your application, and the status needs to be poll closed. Remember, we have these 3 possible values in the status, so the one we need to start our demo will be poll closed. I don't know anything so far, so let's continue with this explanation. These are the 2 tweets hashtags, we're gonna be looking for in Twitter, and depending of this value, we are going to do a thing or a different thing. As this is just a demo, test, I'm not gonna ask you for that, but later on in the real demo, in the what I'm gonna look or what I'm gonna run and look in Twitter for is gonna be for the hashtags mentioned in our talk. So if in this case CRMS test A will set this variable to true, and so we create true votes for the pineapple. And in case this is the tweet does not contain this thing, it will create false or negative votes for the pineapple pizza. So let's ensure we have saved this. It's time to start our server. It's connecting finally to our Salesforce org. Let's do a quick demo, a quick test. This is gonna be just modifying the status to on hold, for example. Did I save it? Okay, something's not going so good. Okay, now we have connect to the org, I think. So again, let's gonna change this to on hold. Let's save it. Okay, now we're getting the change the data capture event. Okay, if we have a look at this, where it contains the header and a body for the record we have modified. So if I'm going to my Twitter, and if I create a couple of tweets with this hashtag, we tweet it, a different one. Tweet it. Let's do one more, for example. We tweet it, and now let's see if it works by modifying this to foreclosed. We save. Hey, you see that? Those were the different tweets retrieved. So if we're going back to here, to our poll, and we refresh, now we have 3 different rotations. Well, I hope you liked this demo. Also, let's go back to our presentation because there is not much less to say. As I want to finalize with some more resources, those are the resources I have used for creating this talk and for creating the application. Please, again, take your time, take a screenshot, a photo, whatever. Anyway, if you have a look in Google, it's gonna be easy for you to find all these resources. Just some more. Today's repo, getting a couple of one blog post, really interesting from the point of view, getting started with the PubSub API and the e-bikes manufacturing. That is open repo created created by the Salesforce advocates. That contains the source also of this application, the application I just showed you. Well, thank you for listening, for attending to my talk. I hope you enjoy it. Well, I hope you Have a good day today. See ya.